Well, let's take another look at our top story. The police beating of illegal aliens in Riverside County, California. Alleged illegal aliens. The clubbing followed a high-speed chase from the Mexican border. The Riverside Sheriff's Department has begun an internal investigation of whether excessive force was used in the arrest. 2 officers have been placed on leave. The Los Angeles County Police Department is also investigating. And now the U.S. Justice Department says the FBI will investigate possible civil rights violations in that case. And joining us now with more perspective on this is our legal analyst, Terry Sullivan. Good afternoon, Terry.
How you guys doing?
What are the parameters, legal parameters, that guide a police officer when he pulls somebody over and he believes they may be resisting arrest? How much force? When can they use force?
Well, what has happened over a period of years is this is an area that nothing can be set down necessarily into. You do this, you do this, you do this. However, what has evolved in the period of years has been something known as reasonable force. That police officers can use reasonable force to effect an arrest. In fact, oddly enough, there's a law that's been in Illinois for a long period of time that's come down through the courts that say even if a police officer doesn't have the right to make an arrest, you cannot resist, or you can be charged with resisting arrest. So what happens is it's really a common sense kind of thing that the courts decide. If you have reasonable force, if you believe that if the police officer believes that his person is in danger or somebody else is in danger, he may use reasonable force, reasonable enough to make sure that the situation is kind of nullified. If somebody attacks with a gun, obviously they can use a gun. But unless that happens, then of course they're not supposed to use any more force than is necessary to effect an arrest.
Terry, right now we know the officers are on paid leave, but based on what you've seen on this tape that we're watching right now, what kind of action can now be taken against those officers? What do you expect to happen?
Well, I was a little disappointed in the spokesman for the sheriff's office because he came out and said something to the extent of you have seen the tape, so I'm not going to tell you that it didn't happen. But in fact, then he said he was embarrassed by the department. I think what has happened is there has to be an outcry that in fact they will not allow these things to happen. There have been many things said already today that this is very like the Rodney King incident, and it certainly is. I think that when police officers have got to realize, and maybe they should more and more nowadays, that they don't ever know when they're going to be on tape.
But we have found that videotape isn't always necessarily means that the jury's going to decide one way or another.
That's very true.
What else do they need?
That's very true.
What else does the prosecution need?
Well, the prosecution really needs testimony in relation to something that happens. But once you have evidence of photographs or videotape, it's pretty conclusive in a lot of ways, though it didn't necessarily prove to be in California in the Rodney King thing. But any sort of evidence that they have that puts the police officers or the sheriff's department on the other side of the coin, and they have to really defend why they did that. In this case, perhaps the people who were in the truck didn't even understand the orders that the police officers were given. So they have a two-pronged problem there.
Terry, you've got some